smoking, it's a revolution. Revolution, revolution. Shots to your head, it's an execution. Execution, execution. It's being us versus the corrupt. Red dot, put a cross to your head. Let the Lord interrupt. Interrupt, interrupt. Gun smoking, it's a revolution. Revolution, revolution. Shots to your head, it's an execution. Execution, execution. Being us versus the corrupt. Hey, let's go. What's going on, John?
Hey, man, we're going to put 2 episodes out in just a few days. What is that?
Dang, man, we're like a new breed of human beings over here.
Right? Holy shit. Welcome to the Liberty Goons podcast, episode number 10.
Woo, we need to have a birthday cake, man.
Right?
Candles.
We need a party.
I know.
Put some fucking candles on that bitch.
Heck yeah.
I probably just cursed way too early into the segment right there. We might get this flagged, but oh well. Man, we've got some exciting stuff for you. We never run out of topics. There's always stuff to talk about.
The world is crazy right now. In case you guys don't know, I am one of your co-hosts. My name's Don Welch Music. You guys know me for the music. You guys know John from 2A Patriot Ranch and the Pew Pews. Let's get it. Let's go. Anyways, I'm going to give a little opening monologue today. I just want to talk to you guys real brief. We always kind of do this. This is really the importance of the Constitution and why it's so important for all Americans to get the full understanding of its value. So, guys, we have the most beautiful thing in the world, the most beautiful political system. I don't even want to call it political system because it's really aside of being from politics. The Constitution gives us rights as citizens. It's the only form of government where it tells the government, hey, hands off. These are the people's rights. We the people. For example, freedom of speech. That's why you're allowed to say whatever you want to be able to say. The Second Amendment, obviously you need to be able to protect that speech. So that's why you have the Second Amendment to protect yourself from tyranny. Everything else, you can protect you, your friends, your family, all of that. Those are the 2 biggest ones. You have the right to attorney. We can go on and on and on and on with all the things that the Constitution and the Bill of Rights has. But the importance of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights is that it literally tells us, hey, guys, we're going to give you the power and the government doesn't have power. And because we have this in place, you can keep the government in check. And that's the most important part about the Constitution. So everybody thinking that the Constitution's outdated and we need to get rid of the Constitution, yada, yada, yada. No, that is the only thing keeping us from complete government tyranny and complete dictatorship over America. So that is why the Constitution is so important. So be thankful that you have it. Yes, some of the policies have eroded away, but it's still there and it's still meant to be something powerful. And we just have to all come together to keep the Constitution strong so we can keep all of our rights, as they were meant to be, or as what we say as God intended. So that's my little spiel today.
Yeah, man. So, God, I couldn't be any more applicable than right now too. And, I think of, the Fourth Amendment. Think about this. Like if you are like Don, say you're at work and your boss comes up and says, hey, open your desk drawer. Like you have no choice. It's not a republic. It's not a democracy. Like you have to open up your desk drawer for your boss and show him whatever you have inside there for the day. Most likely nothing in there, but whatever, in America, we have a legal right against unnecessary search and seizure.
Yeah, you have to have a warrant in America for good cause.
Yeah, the Fifth Amendment. We'll use the same analogy, Don. Like, if your boss comes up and says, "Did you do this paperwork?" You can't say, "I plead the Fifth." Like, you have to answer the question, or your job could be terminated. Here in the United States, you have a right to not say that you did something.
Mm-hmm.
You do not have to self-incriminate.
Yep.
You look at the 10th Amendment. the 10th Amendment is something that gets so overlooked right now. I did a little spiel on this over at 2A Patriot Ranch back like a couple months ago. I think it was on a live or something. The 10th Amendment basically states that anything that's not written in the Constitution, anything that's not already delegated to the government, is left up to the states.
Yep.
And this is why, like, when you start to get into like abortion and things like that,
that's why the Supreme Court ruled it the way that they did.
exactly, is because of the 10th Amendment. And then it even applies to when you start looking at firearms. So because of the Second Amendment, the 10th Amendment is no longer applicable to states. States cannot develop their own firearm regulations because that has already been delegated to the people in the Second Amendment. So, like, if you think about all these things, other countries, they don't have these things. They don't have a Fourth Amendment. You know, if you get pulled over in Pakistan and they want to search your vehicle,
you're getting searched.
You're getting searched, whether they have probable cause or not.
Yeah.
So man, Don, what a great thing to kind of start off with, because it's just so applicable right now. So applicable, man.
Concur. Yes, sir.
Do you want to tell everybody to do something right now?
Yeah, I do. If you guys are here, hit the like, write a comment, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. It's our 10th episode, baby. You got to keep our 15 kids fed. Well, John doesn't have any kids, but I got one on the way. So I'm breaking the news because nobody knows about this yet.
Oh shit, breaking news. We're not even in the news segment yet.
Yeah. Well, that's the real news.
I wanted to let you do it this week because last episode I stole your thunder on it.
Yeah, but make sure you guys, for Don's new baby, go ahead and hit the bell for notifications. Heck yeah.
No better reason to hit that notification bell than for a baby.
Come on now,
Uncle John over here, need you to ring that notification bell. Man, getting into news for the week, man, we have all kinds of shit to talk about.
It's like crazy.
More than we normally do. And we're going to keep it concise this time, guys. We promise. We're going to stay on track. We're going to stay on topic here. Man, the first thing we have up, so just within the last, 12 hours or so, I think, Politico announced that they had documents that they received from the Trump campaign. And then the Trump campaign has put out the message that they were hacked by a nefarious party, a government that is not friendly to the United States, more specifically pointing the finger at Iran. Politico, basically this person approached Politico and said, "My name's Robert. Don't ask any more questions about who I am or where I got this from because you don't want to know those things. And I have all this information." And supposedly, obviously we haven't seen any of the information, supposedly it is a 270-something page dossier on J.D. Vance, another dossier on Marco Rubio, and internal communications between the Trump team relating to some of the lawsuits and court cases. Obviously, none of this stuff is stuff anybody wants out. And I'm not talking just about Trump or JD Vance or anybody, but like nobody wants this kind of stuff released, especially when you start talking about like basically it's considered like oppo research on your VP candidates. Because you're digging deep.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's basically campaign interference at that point.
Yeah, and I mean, I think one of the titles under this research piece was like basically things that could be bad for us with JD Vance. Like that was the title of the section,
Yeah, I mean, and the other crazy thing just even about that is like, who knows if it's true, if any of this stuff is true. Maybe, and I was saying this earlier, me and John were talking about this, like, if it's from some nefarious group or person or whatever the case is. Who knows if they've mixed in truth with fiction in
Just
there
like the
to
Steele dossier.
exactly. That's the exact same thing with Russia Gate. It's so I'm sure that they'll use it. The Democrats will use it to their advantage and try to twist and
October
turn things.
surprise.
Yeah, it's always going to be something insane. And I mean, if you're watching it here and you're watching me and John, just know, hey, we brought this news to you first, and we're telling you exactly what they're going to end up doing, because that's what they always do, and there's always an October surprise. So,
Yep.
good little talk there on the Trump guy. I mean, I didn't even know about this until we just started this podcast. So,
Yeah, you said what? What are we talking about?
yeah, 5 minutes beforehand, we hopped on here and he started telling me about it. So
I just happened to get an X notification about it prior to us coming on. So yeah,
see, I mean, this should be your news, caster right here. John's
right.
John's got all the dirt, man. He's doing real news. He's doing the people's work out here.
Fuck, what was the guy's name on Fox? Shepard Smith.
Yeah,
Yeah, fuck
Shepard.
Shepard Smith. Put me on that shit.
Anyways, I was gonna tell you, which have you seen the Uvalde body cam footage?
No, man. So I was busy editing some videos and stuff for 2A Patriot earlier when you texted me about this. So I have not even had a chance to look at it yet. So what I mean, we're how many years past Uvalde now?
2 years, dude.
2 years?
2 years to get this body footage, which is wild, bro. 2 years after the fact. And since you haven't seen it, I would kind of just give you guys a little brief rundown of it. So the head, the chief of police, he brings in about 15 guys into the doorway.
One of them was enormously fat. I remember that.
That's the chief police. Yeah,
that's the chief.
That's the chief police, and then or the chief of police, and then there's a group of guys that are on the outside. There's a couple of different footage that's going on that they're showing. Some that were the guys were actually doing the right thing, like they were trying to break down the window and trying to get kids out, but which is kind of weird to me because none of them had anything to break glass. And I'm like, you guys have the whole entire SWAT team out there, which is wild to me. But finally, after about 10 minutes, they finally got some windows broke, and then the kids came out the window on at least a couple of the windows. But the wild part is as they're walking in, they're telling them, don't move forward. And then they're like, just stand there, just stand there, just stand there. They check a couple of the doors. They can't get any of the doors open. They have a master key. The master key apparently isn't working. None of them have any breaching tools. Finally, somebody with a breaching tool comes in, and they can't get the breaching tool to work. So then the chief of police sits back. He sees hand sanitizer. And I am not joking you. He puts on hand sanitizer, wipes his hand. Hand sanitizer, does this with his hand. Hand sanitizer, does
obviously
this with his hand.
Nervous as shit.
For 4 fucking minutes, this man does nothing but hand sanitizer. Okay? Finally, they hear some shots pop off, and everybody ducks. Nobody moves forward. Nobody does anything. They're all creeping beside like little corners of like where you would be exiting the doors of classrooms.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, you hear the chief of police. He's like, yeah. Nobody go any more further. The shooter's barricaded. There is no way that they knew the shooter was barricaded, and I'll get into that a little bit here in just a second, but they didn't even know that the shooter was barricaded because not one person had moved forward. And that was for about, at this point in time, it's about 20 minutes into the video. And then finally, they found out that actually the shooter later on, but we found out during all these hearings, the shooter was never barricaded.
No, the door was open.
The door was open, and they assumed that he was barricaded because they were all too scared to move forward. They were about 2 to 3 classrooms in, And I bet you it was probably the hallway was maybe 10 classrooms down, and they all stopped about two and a half doorways
Mm-hmm.
in. That's kind of where they stopped at, and then they did not move forward after
Yeah, I
that.
remember. I remember seeing that on that security camera footage. Did you ever see um, Mike Glover's breakdown of Uvalde?
I did, but
I
this is
highly suggest people go watch that if you don't have like a even a general perspective of like what happened. Go watch Mike Glover's video on this. But obviously, we didn't know any of the stuff that you were just talking about right now. Didn't know about the window breaking and the breaching tool thing or any of that. That's fucking insane, Don.
Yeah, no, it will. My girl was getting so upset watching it, because it was just pure ignorance on the things that they were doing. Uh, they were asking the guy screaming down the hallway as the guy was shooting, saying, "Sir, can you please come out? Put your gun down. We're not going to hurt you. We just want this to end peacefully." As the guy's fucking shooting. What? It's just like like absolutely bizarre, and nobody knew what to do. Everybody was screaming at each other, yelling at each other back and forth. Nobody moved forward, and they just sat there like absolute pussies. Like my girl was getting so mad. She was like, I don't understand why they're just not like pushing forward. There's like at this point in time there's like 20 people in the hallway
with body armor on.
No, not just body armor on, with complete police shields.
Yeah.
Every single there's another part. Every single person has an AR-15. There's two cops at the door while the guy's trying to get in with the breaching tool. His AR is down by his side, and he has a pistol like this just pointing straight up at the guy. I'm like, you have an AR, and you decide to draw your handgun. Even worse than that, and this is the one bad thing I will say, because and then we'll get off this subject because I want you guys to go watch it and see it for yourself. The guy that was breaking out the glass, none of those cops didn't even have level 2 holsters, let alone level 3 holsters.
Just bucket holsters.
All bucket holsters. All bucket holsters. It is mind blowing how just
a professional police force.
Whoa. I promise you that me and John, if those kids, if it would have been in a classroom and me and John were there, me and John would have found a way to inch forward. I'm not saying that me and John wouldn't have been scared anytime that somebody's shooting. You're going to be a scared person, but we have body armor on. We have AR-15s, and we believe in our shooting skills and our tactical side enough, and we can follow each other's lead well enough that we're going to push forward. That's 2 people. They had 20 people in a hallway that's maybe 10 feet wide.
Wow. God, I mean, I know I've been in these situations, personally where, I thought some shit was going to go south, whether I'm in a store or a restaurant, or like you can just kind of sense something. You get a little spidey senses up. And my mind immediately goes to, what am I going to do right now?
Yes.
Immediately thinking, okay, here's this option, here's this option. None of the options are ever do nothing. That's never an option.
Never.
And that's what those guys did for whatever it was. I don't know if you could tell in body camera footage, but I believe from Mike Glover's video, it was like 36 minutes or something like that.
48 minutes.
48 minutes.
48 minutes. They stood in the same spot for 48 minutes.
Which is
yeah, it's frustrating. It's definitely frustrating to watch. There's way more crazy stuff that happened in that. Weird things where they took chairs and they slid them down the hallway. I don't know.
See if he would shoot at them or something.
I have no idea or understood what the purpose of that was. They were sliding desks down the hallway, and they were now that's just like in the way, of places that you should have been moving to. Just extremely, extremely strange. And back to my monologue on this, and then we're going to end this little section of the segment here. This is why the government cannot protect you, and you should never give up your Second Amendment no matter what. Because there was 20 grown men with AR-15s that were scared of a uh, very feminine male, whatever you want to call it, shooter shooting up kids, and they were all too much of pussies to go in and save these children.
Except for the
So,
one guy that they kept holding back,
yeah,
whose
except
wife was the teacher.
they were arresting parents that wanted to rush in and go save their kids. You should have just let them at that point,
Yeah,
since you weren't going to do anything.
It's
But,
despicable. Despicable. Yeah. God, man, that just makes me fucking angry. Keeping on the topic of self-defense. So, the great state of Florida, which obviously you guys all know I reside in, is one of 4 states, four, we'll call them states, that does not allow, for the most part, an open carry of a firearm. California, New York, Washington, D.C., and
New Jersey.
New Jersey, yes. They passed in the legislature last year what they called constitutional carry amendment that basically allowed permitless concealed carry in the state of Florida as long as you were already legally allowed to have a firearm. That's not constitutional carry, but it was basically a back and forth between both houses in the state of Florida, and even the governor said, I'll sign whatever bill they send to me. He goes, normally this isn't about open carry. Normally the argument's about concealed carry. He even mentioned in his press conference that only 4 states had open carry laws, and he didn't want to be a part of those 4 states. So you already had the government's backing. You had DeSantis's backing. And basically the head of the Republican Party in the, I believe it was the Senate, said that there wasn't an appetite. There wasn't an appetite to get this done. So it didn't get done. And this amendment gets passed without open carry. Well, now, our favorite people, GOA, along with a citizen here in the state of Florida, have decided to sue the state of Florida to allow open carry of firearms. It's so funny and not funny, I guess, kind of at the same time, because now the state of Florida is between a rock and a hard place.
Mm-hmm.
Because what do you do as a Republican-controlled total government? Governor, secretary, attorney general, both houses. Do you fight GOA and one of your citizens to protect this?
Because you're not going to get reelected in Florida if you fight it.
No. So I don't see how there's any way that they even put up a fight on this. I think this might be case closed. They don't put up an argument.
You might be right. It really might be like, hey, here's a push on the shoulder. Here's a smack on the hand. We mean business. And them say, yeah, you're right. My bad. Here it goes. We're just going to wash our hands of this and then allow open carry finally.
Because if they don't fight it, then it's a de facto case closed.
It's over with. Then it just goes in. I don't know what I'm sure that the Senate of Florida will have some type of amendment or something like that where they're going to make it where you can't go into like public parks or something weird.
We already have that on the books, though. I mean, there's already that for concealed carry.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Well, not necessarily public parks or anything like that. Like that's fine. But like you can't go into schools and government buildings and that sort of thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's very similar in the state of Texas, except like there are certain clearancing of license that you can have, like to even go into school. You can have a gun in a school, but you have to have a certain clearance by the state. It has to be approved by the state, has to be signed by the attorney general of the state, so on and so forth, because they're actually paying people to take these classes in order to be able to carry in schools because of how fucked up Uvalde was.
Right.
So I'm going to be excited to see what's going to happen, John, especially especially because that state is very close to our both of our hearts, man. So I'm hoping that Florida does the right thing and just says, you're right,
Ain't a fight we want to have. I
ain't a
hope
fight we
so.
want to have.
And you know what? I've mentioned to you multiple times before. I am not an open carrier myself. Like, even if I had the opportunity to, I could see some situations where I would. But in general, I prefer to conceal carry. It's just something that's a personal preference of mine. If you care to know how I conceal carry, you can head on over to the 2A Patriot Ranch YouTube right now, and I just posted a video all about ways to carry. How did you like that? I
Little
fit that
shameless
right in
plug.
there. Little shameless plug right there. But yeah, man, I'm excited to see what happens. So go
Yeah,
on
me too.
GOA.
I think it's going to end up being good for Florida. So I'm glad that
I
GOA
agree.
is doing it,
I
and
agree.
we'll be at GOA next week. But yeah, well, if we're gonna be talking about that, have you seen what's going on with FRT? With the FRT triggers. So
Yeah, man.
in case you guys don't know, FRT means force reset triggers. The ATF basically they said, hey, this is a machine gun. They got their hand slapped by the federal court. Then they got their hand slapped by the Fifth Circuit Court. And the Fifth Circuit Court said, yeah, no, you're going to return every last one of those FRT triggers. And the ATF has refused to do so. So we are in a crazy time. I mean, actually, speaking of this, John, I know this is a little off subject, but we talked about the same thing not too long ago. Now that's coming to mind, where the uh where what is it called where you go to for the why am I drawing a blank here for the military whenever you need to go to the doctor,
Oh, the VA hospital.
the VA, with the VA, them basically stating that if you gave up if you needed somebody to help you with money financially or whatever,
Right, right.
that you weren't able to buy a gun, and then they basically told the Congress, yeah, we're not going to abide by those
We're not going to
rules.
listen to you. Yeah.
So now you have this weird mixture of all this stuff happening all across the board, and man, it's like at this point in time, I feel like both sides are just like telling the other side, "Fuck off. We don't care about what you do," and that's where you start getting into crazy breaking points, especially when the government itself doesn't follow its own laws.
You know what? And this just brings something to mind. On the flip side of that, of going against um, the New York City Police Department, because of the Bruin decision just this week, announced that they are no longer going to not allow non-resident permits. So there's something that worked into our favor, is that because of Bruin, the police department, even though the state is still acting like a bunch of fucking assholes, the New York City Police Department said, hey, now like we're going to start doing this now because this is a shall issue state and we have to do this according to law. So the ATF, however, seems to not want to play ball. No matter how many times they get told no, they still show up to play on the playground with the big boys.
They just keep doing whatever they want to do. I mean, it's wild, bro. It's wild. I keep saying this. We're headed towards some crazy paths that people don't realize. We talked about this on previous episodes. I don't think America is ready. American citizens are ready, but we're slowly getting to that breaking point, and it's happening. Well, I don't even want to say slowly. It's happening very fast. It's happening
rapidly.
Quick.
Yes,
Yeah,
rapidly. Man. So we have, I guess, ESP. We are fortune tellers. You didn't know when you were tuning into the Liberty Goons that we were fucking psychics. But it just turns out that we are either government plants or we are actually fucking psychic. If you go back and watch episode 1 of the Liberty Goons podcast, we started the Watchlist.
Yeah.
And on episode 1, Don,
we had, who do we have?
Tulsi
Tulsi Gabbard.
Gabbard was the first person put on our watch list. Well, guess what, Don? Tulsi Gabbard is actually on a fucking watch list.
An actual government watch list.
We found out this week Tulsi Gabbard is on a fucking watch list. And I feel this is the first time I feel kind of bad about having her on our watch list.
I'm like, some of these people really need to be on a watch list, but
yeah,
holy cow.
But not Tulsi.
Yeah, Tulsi's probably the last person that needs to be on an actual watch list. That was been in our watch list.
Yeah, she was on our watch list because we thought she might be a snake in the grass still, but like not an actual threat.
Yeah.
Let's hear what Tulsi has to say about this.
Taken away from us liberty, freedom, the ability to speak our minds, exercise our First Amendment rights. They have violated our Fourth Amendment right to privacy. And
right there.
That is not something that can be undone, Sean. This is something that I will have to live with now for the rest of my life, constantly looking over my shoulder and wondering who is watching me, who is following me, what conversations of mine are they listening to, and what are they going to do? How are they going to try to weaponize that information that they are seeing or that they are gathering? Because as we know, under the Biden-Harris administration, they have no hesitation in weaponizing all means possible, all tools available to them to target and go after their political opponents, anyone they deem as a threat to their power.
Yup. Crazy.
I mean,
crazy, bro.
Before I get back to the seriousness of the situation, there was a untoward comment that I made on that episode about not getting off to Tulsi Gabbard. She actually looks pretty good in that video right there. I mean, she doesn't look bad. I was digging the little gray, you know, like I don't know. I was feeling her in that video right there. But yeah, she was added to what they call the Quiet Skies program.
Yeah.
And she is being watched. So Tulsi, you're not coming off our watch list. But I will say, like I feel bad. Like
yeah.
If we caused this, like I feel really bad.
Yeah. You know what probably happened? It probably came up on Google search, like Tulsi Gabbard, and it was like watch list, and the government's like, oh yeah, we should put her on a watch list.
She's the only one so far that I'll feel bad about, though.
No, well, it's crazy to me. I feel like now this is just going to ramp up any type of conservative people that had doubts in their mind about her. This just gives her more
credence.
Bro, this is a feather in her cap now.
Mm-hmm.
It truly is. So depending on how she uses that, it could definitely be to her advantage. And I hope that she does come out. And me and you both said this. I hope that she really does come out and say, yeah, fuck yeah, I believe in the Second Amendment to its fullest. I made some mistakes before, but now I see how corrupt the government is more than I ever have. And, I'm standing 100% for all gun owners in America and all of the patriots that want to see this country succeed. So
I hope she's the first person we pull off the watch list. I hope.
I was never planning on doing that, so that would be crazy.
Right? I never thought we would, but I hope she's the first person that we do because we find out that she's not a snake in the grass.
Hey, that'd be a beautiful thing, honestly.
It would be a beautiful thing. But damn, Tulsi Gabbard, I feel for you. you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to call you hottie. But you look pretty good in that video.
John just says freedom looks good on everybody.
Why do you think I have red, white, and blue behind me? It makes me look better. Oh man.
Speaking of freedom, have you been watching what's going on in England?
Ever since you brought it up on the last episode, I have been paying closer attention. Yes.
Okay, so I'll kind of get into just a little example of what's happening here. So, a little while back, maybe like a week ago, I guess, maybe now, essentially there was 3 girls that were doing some little dance routine. You know how like girls do like, they'll go to like these little facilities and it's like yoga or like bar or whatever. I'm assuming that it's something on the lines of that. And it's like, they're doing like some Taylor Swift like dance routine for, little girls, whatever. These girls are like, I think they were 11 and 12 years old. Well, they had a crazy psycho terrorist come in and slit these 3 girls' throats, killed them, which caused an absolute uproar in England. And with that being said, of course, all the British patriots, they came out and they wanted, they were pissed about it. They wanted the police to do something. The police weren't doing shit. Then the Muslim people, they started rioting in the country. There's videos out there. The English government's going to come out and say that this was fake. It never happened, but there's tons of videos of it, of them saying how that they should kill all the white people and all the Christians and yada, yada, yada. In case you guys don't know this, there's a new prime minister in England that's part of the Labour Party. The Labour Party is essentially the form of like a super far left-wing communist party, right? The Tory party, which is the Conservative Party of England, that's who's been in control, which the Tory party in America is basically like established Democrats. I would say that. It's probably not super far left-wing, but they're like established Democrats, established Democrats, rhinos, whatever the case might be. But that's kind of where we are now. And there's been all these massive riots going on in the streets. And it's gotten so crazy because, they've let so many Muslim people in the country. I mean, hundreds of thousands of Muslims into the country, which has caused rapes, murders. I mean, there's been tons of stabbings and killings happening because of these, undocumented people coming in from the Middle East. And dude, the real Brits, they just are not having it, dude. They're going to straight war. And this is why I always tell people, they're disarmed, so they can't even protect themselves. They can't protect their kids. They can't protect themselves from the government. They can't protect themselves from like these crazy Muslim radicals. And it's gotten so out of hand that the government has finally came in and they went after our boy Elon, and they went after every single American, because they have a new law in England stating that it's a disinformation law. So if you say anything against the government that the government disagrees with, they consider that to be disinformation and you will be jailed for it. So there's tons of videos of all types of patriots now getting jailed for these things. And the government has basically came out and said, hey, actually, you know what? I think you got a video of it.
I do. Let's play the video.
Why don't we just play the video for it?
Play the video.
We will throw the full force of the law at people. And whether you're in this country committing crimes on the streets or committing crimes from further afield online, we will come after you.
Talk to me about that, because we have seen some high-profile figures whipping up the hatred. You talked about it in there with the officers, in fact, about this being added to by online commentary. I mean, I'm even thinking of the likes of Elon Musk getting involved. What are you considering when it comes to dealing with people who are whipping up this kind of behaviour from behind a keyboard and maybe in a different country?
Being a keyboard warrior does not make you safe from the law. You can be guilty of offences of incitement, of stirring up racial hatred. There are numerous terrorist offences regarding the sort of publishing of material. All of those offences are in play if people are provoking hatred and violence on the streets, and we will come after those individuals just as we will physically confront on the streets the thugs and the yobs who are causing the problems for communities.
Wow.
Question real quick. Do you think anybody scans that QR code for more updates?
No.
That was on that.
Not one fucker. The government.
The government.
Yeah, that just make themselves look like they're valuable.
That was the craziest minute and 2 seconds that I've watched since the VA video that we posted.
Yeah, and it gets even crazier because then they came out with an article saying that they would come and arrest all Americans and that they were working with the Biden Harris administration in order to arrest people in America to send them so they can jail them in the UK. So insanity. Wow.
Insane.
Holy cow. In America, we have freedom of speech. Clearly, England doesn't. Clearly, they've lost their rights to be able to own guns. And back to my my monologue, this is why the Constitution is so important, because governments, our government, every government on this planet manipulates what they see as anything that can hurt them during an election campaign or anything that goes against their power. They want to call disinformation, and they will go after you, your friends, your family. They will take away your jobs. I mean, they will brutally come after you in any form possible. And now we see that UK wants to have its 1776 moment and come to Texas and see what happens to all the American citizens with your red coats.
Yeah, man. You know, do you watch Julian Dory's podcast at all?
Mm-mm.
Really, really good podcaster. Does a ton of high profile people, but he had the guy Traplore. Have you seen the Traplore guy? He really gets into what do they call the Chicago rap music scene? What's that called?
Drill music. Yeah.
Drill music. And he's from the UK, and he was just, it's so funny that all this stuff started happening. And then I was watching that podcast earlier today, and he was talking about how, you know, people in England don't have the same rights to freedom of speech as Americans do. And now this was related to like rap music and lyrics and things like that. But I was just like, wow, like I guess I just never really thought about England that way until this situation, and then hearing it also on this other completely different genre of topic, you know?
Yeah, I mean, they're not a free country, and they're getting way more radicalized. I mean, they are extremely radical to the left, and if the left takes over in America, dude, I don't even see America lasting another 4 years. I give it a year and a half before we are in just complete and total chaos, and probably economic just collapse at that point, because the Democrats are so bad financially with the government. So
Yep, absolutely, man. Little law update for y'all. So obviously the pistol brace rule has been something that's been on the hearts and minds of gun fanatics across the country for the past about 2 years now, and we got a huge win. We've got a couple smaller wins as well. The Fifth Circuit has now said that if there's an appeal from the ATF, which obviously we know there is going to be, that they're going to include the preliminary injunction along with the final judgment in the appeals case, which is a great thing for us, because if they had let the preliminary injunction go, if for some reason the Fifth Circuit had said that they were going to kick the can back down to the
federal court,
we would have lost the injunction, and the pistol brace rule would have gone back into effect if that had happened. So this kind of helps at least the start of protection, so that if that does happen, the preliminary injunction is still in place, and at least for those people that are members of FPC and Second Amendment Foundation. And so we don't know exactly. The government has not filed that appeal yet, but it's inevitable that they will. So right now, keep your braces, ladies and gentlemen. But you know, what? It's something. This is along the same topics, Don, but we haven't talked about it as much. We did talk about the New Jersey thing briefly. This New Jersey case for us was really, really big in the big picture of firearm regulation. because they basically adjudicated, this is it. This is what it's going to be. And so now we have a final ruling from an appeals court that now we can go get rid of certiorari with the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And the Supreme Court can't kick it back down now because it's been adjudicated the whole way up the ladder. So that was a big thing for us. So instead of them kicking it back down to the lower court, they just made a final judgment.
Yeah, so essentially, if you guys don't know what their stuff is, that just means that a federal appeals court in the state of New Jersey said, hey, hands off AR-15s, you can't touch them. They are in common use, and you can't regulate these firearms now that Chevron deference is no longer a thing.
Which was a minor win.
Especially the way that they even worded it, which was kind of crazy because they only said Colt AR-15s because the judge didn't know what he was talking about. So he just specifically branded something called Colt AR-15s. But it's huge, like John said, because they did come to their final merits in the case, which means send it up to the Supreme Court. Let's get this pony show on the road before the election is what I would like to see.
Yeah, both the magazine issue and the actual firearm issue. So this gives us a clear pathway to the Supreme Court, which even though has not been 100% on the Second Amendment, has thrown us a few huge wins. So this could go a long way.
Yeah, and I mean, especially in case you guys don't know this too, just to kind of bring this in, what John's speaking of is they lost the magazine case. They won the AR-15 case, but it's one solid case, so they can bring that whole case up where AR-15s and magazines are all right at the front door of the Supreme Court, which there's been probably now 3 or 4 attempts by several of these cases that's been grouped together that's tried to make its way there, and they just keeps sending it back down
because they haven't been adjudicated the whole way up the ladder.
Yeah, they haven't been finalized with the full merits and standing, or the full merits of the standing case. So that's exciting,
dude. Super exciting stuff there. I mean, that sounded like the worst super excited stuff
I know. But it's bigger than what you guys think.
It is. It's bigger than what you guys think.
Yeah.
Favorite segment here. It is time for Trigger Warning. This week's trigger warning, this episode's trigger warning, is quite a segment, and it's meant to trigger your inner prepper sense. Obviously Don and I talked last episode and the episode before about the hurricane that was on its way to the state of Florida, where he and I both have property and land and people that we know. And then we've got a super active set of systems that are out in the Atlantic coming off the northern coast of Africa right now. I'm not going to get into super detail about how all that stuff works. I'm not a meteorologist, but I can just tell you that at a high level, the wind conditions, the pressure conditions, and the warmth of the seas right now is prime for massive cyclones. Yeah, massive. You combine that with a lot of the other natural disasters that are happening right now. They just had I think it was a 5.3 earthquake out in Bakersfield, I think it was, in California. I actually lived through, it's not like I was going to die, but I got to experience 2 pretty large tremors out in California when I lived there. I believe it was Easter of 2009. It actually shook the couch that I was sitting on. It gave me a good jolt. And they tell you that dogs are a good pre-warning system for earthquakes.
I believe it. My dog about shits himself every time it's about to rain.
my dog was not. My dog just sat there and looked at me and didn't do anything. God rest her soul. then there was an article just today about Japan was warning their citizens against panic buying for what has grown legs in Japan, which is a mega quake on its way. Obviously, we had the mega quake that hit Japan. What was that, about 4 years ago now? 3 years ago, Fukushima.
Yeah.
And that nuclear reactor, and caused just horrendous damage. All these things, we've got a mega cauldron under Yellowstone. There's been plenty of movies that have kind of played off of that fact. We've had tornadoes like crazy in parts of the Midwest that aren't used to getting them. We even had tornado warnings here in Florida after this last cyclone went through, after this last hurricane went through. I sound like I'm British saying cyclone. But this kind of goes into that prepper mindset of, what do you do? What do you need to do to prepare? And, people used to make fun of that TV show that was on Discovery. You remember that? Or the History Channel? I forget. I think it was Discovery, right?
Yeah.
It was called Preppers.
I watched that a couple episodes the other night.
Yeah. And, the people used to say these people are crackpots. How crackpotish are they looking right now, Don? I mean,
they're looking like the smartest person in the room. Is what they're looking like.
Except for the ones that refuse to have firearms.
Yeah, that's weird to me.
I made sure to write down their addresses.
Yeah, I never understood. I never really understood. Yeah, exactly. Write down their address.
I'm gonna come take their shit.
Thanks for all this stored food.
Yeah, man. I'm a modest prepper. It's technically part of my job as a content creator in that world. That I do some of that stuff, inspired stuff by that. Especially when it comes to first aid and building first aid kits, and I have a solar generator and I have a water purifying machine. We're gonna have some reviews come out on that stuff at 28 Patriot Ranch here soon, but I think it's time that the rest of America start waking up. And this is not a call for panic. That Don, I know you we're not the panic guys.
No.
But you've got a baby on the way now too.
Yeah,
And
that's made me change my outlook on some things that I never thought about really before either. I mean, I can get into that, but yeah, go ahead and finish up, and I'll kind of give you a little spiel on my whole life changements there.
That kind of came to mind as I was just discussing this right now. For me, it's pretty easy. I'm a single person, but my family and I, we have plans. We have a the end of the world as we know it, shit hits the fan type of plans with each other. I'm the furthest away. They're all in Pennsylvania and Ohio, and I'm down here. But we have a plan to communicate. We have a plan, we have written directions to each other's houses. If you don't have Faraday bags, that's another video we're going to have on 2A Patriot here soon. I've got them right under my desk, actually. I've got a Faraday backpack that I have a backup cell phone. I have a GPS unit in it. I have a computer that I've downloaded all kinds of survival stuff to it. Because I don't think people understand how serious it can get. And this, I'm going to relate this to what happened, what was it, about 2 months ago when the internet went down? Remember when CloudStream and all those things, or whatever it was called, Cloudflare? Or
I think that was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. And everybody couldn't get on their emails, and anybody with a Microsoft Exchange server couldn't get on. It was crazy, right? I mean, it was just...
It crushed our computer systems at work down for 2 days, and we all had to wait on new laptops.
It was madness. So I'm not even taking this perspective on prepping from a, somebody throws a nuke at us or anything like that. I'm taking it from the perspective of these natural disasters that we were just talking about, from, world economic collapse, just all those things that, man, you really better start thinking at least about a plan, because I can tell you what, that it's like the old saying goes, if you plan to act, you plan to fail.
Yeah.
And if you don't plan to act, you plan to fail. And without a proper plan, you have no way to adjust, and my fear is that most people just don't even have a plan.
I mean, it's true. I mean, something's better than nothing, and I mean, you've talked about this too. Like, you should always have at least 2 weeks worth of food and 2 weeks worth of water at your house, regardless. That's something like a hurricane, a tornado, an ice
Power outage.
storm, a power outage, whatever the case might be, at least 2 weeks worth. And, hey, let me tell you this. If you have 2 weeks worth, you're more prepared than 99% of the population in America. So,
Yep. You won't have to rush to the stores.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a very good, just simple rule to live by there, Don. That was like very simple. Food and water, have enough for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then I go and dig deeper into that, and me personally, I'm at the point now where with food and water, I'm probably 6 months without having to stretch, to worry, to where I'd have to like start like scavenging or killing my own food or anything like that. And at that point,
I'll probably do that anyways.
Well, yeah. And I mean, I'm going to those houses I saw on Preppers. Yeah. But by that point, I mean, we're 6 months in, most of you are dead anyway.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to be hard for me to scavenge at that point.
Yeah, I mean, the federal government's already said this. The FBI has already said this, that they plan on an EMP hitting the United States before 2029. And then they said that it would take out 90% of all of North America within 12 months. Now, that means 90% of everyone's dead.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that to be scared. And I'm not saying that as a conspiracy theorist. I'm just telling you, hey, this was a congressional hearing. This is what the federal government's telling you.
Yep. I've mentioned this before on the I forget what we were even talking about in relation to this. But if you want to get a sense, and this is about as realistic as you could possibly fucking get, listen to the series, the 1 Second After series by William R. Fortune. That the foreword to that was wrote by Newt Gingrich, and it was talked about on the floors of Congress, this book. And it's a fictional book. A series of books. I think there's 5 books in the series, but it goes into detail of what the societal collapse will look like, from starvation to surviving winters, to trying to get communication systems up and running again, to try to get power up and running again, to which vehicles are going to work and not going to work. The main character in that video was driving around in like an old Edsel, because it doesn't have any electronic parts to it.
I mean, even Tucker Carlson, the other day, I was watching his little episode, and they were talking about the Tesla truck, and he was, going down, seeing one of his old neighbors and good friends, and that's a logger, and he said, like, I have this truck, I like it, it has no AC, it has nothing electric inside of it, but I have it because, 1, I like it, and 2, in case something happens, this car theoretically, or this truck should theoretically like still be able to run and work. And I think it's like a 1977 Ford pickup truck or Chevy pickup truck,
Yep. Yeah. And there's things out there that you can do to mitigate some of the concerns. Like I said, I have these Faraday bags. I can't wait to do that video. Don, you're going to love this one. Cause I have like a thing I can put my key fob in. I have a thing I can put my cell phone in, and then I have a huge duffel bag that's a full Faraday bag. And then I also have, I don't know, Don, if you have one of these on your vehicle, but I have a Faraday attachment on my
and I've been wanting
an
to
EMP
get one.
blocker.
I know exactly where. By the way, nobody knows if that actually works or not.
No.
But it's better to have than not to have.
So
And
kind of
that's
how those
something that I
things.
really want to get into, actually. So I'm super interested. Can't wait to see all that.
Maybe I can score you one.
That'd be
Let me
fire.
ask. Inner workings of how content creation works. Um, no, there is no proof of them working, obviously, because you would have to set off an EMP in order to like find out. But the basis is that like not that the vehicle will completely be just like amazingly functional again, but the starter system, it basically hooks up to the starter system, so you'll be able to start it. You wouldn't have power steering, you wouldn't have your radio, you wouldn't have your GPS, you know,
No.
you wouldn't have any of that stuff. Um, but it would allow your vehicle to turn on, run, and drive.
Yeah, which
Um,
is the most important part.
yeah, what else
So
do you need? Like I said, I keep a handheld GPS unit in my Faraday bag. So that, and then I also, like I was talking about with my family's plan, anywhere I need to go, I have multiple routes printed out on paper. Remember old MapQuest back in the day?
oh yeah,
You can still do that today,
print it off.
and printed it off. And I have those. And then I also have them in digital copy on my backup cell phone that's inside of the Faraday bag as well. Um, if you're not at least creating that plan, it's gonna be trouble. And I'm not talking some drawn out 3-year, 5-year plan or anything like that. I'm talking about a simple bug in, bug out plan. Just so you know, most of you, your best choice is going to be to bug in. If you think you're going to bug out up into the woods and survive, you're out of your fucking minds.
Yeah,
You're not going to. For all you single people out there like me, if you think you're going to go loner style and do it all by yourself, you're not. Even myself, I'm not the only part of my plan. You know, like that would be dumb.
yeah,
You have to have a group of people that are willing to do the same things. But it's something as simple as like what Don was talking about with the 2 weeks of food and water. Okay, so if a hurricane comes, we're going to Aunt Nancy's house, and Nancy knows that she needs to have also 2 weeks of food and water for everybody because we're all going to have to evacuate there. And
yeah.
like it's having those small plans. It doesn't have to be the grand, like I get it. Most of you are not going to run out and buy the off-grid Faraday bag that I have. I get that. You're not worried about it. It doesn't affect your daily life at all. But
Until
everybody,
it does.
yeah, until it does. But everybody in this country is affected by some sort of natural disaster. You've got blizzards in the Northeast and Northwest. You've got hurricanes down south here. We just saw that in Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. We've got ice storms and tornadoes in your neck of the woods,
Mhm.
sweltering heat, which can cause dysfunction of the power grid. Out
Yep.
west, you've got an overwhelmed power grid that's already on the verge of brownouts every single summer, and you have earthquakes.
Yep.
So it touches every part of the country.
Yep.
And those are just things that are out of our control. Theirs aren't like predictions of us saying like there's going to be a world economic collapse or an EMP or anything like that. That's just
Yeah.
facts.
Yeah, no, I mean, dude, this is like honestly, this is such a great thing to talk about. I was just gonna tell you, like, it's because well, now that we've broken the news here, that I'm gonna be having a little baby. Yeah, like it's changed my game plan too because we've always had. We bought like a water filtration system. We have uh, probably 2 months worth of water on standby, and then we go fill it up every once in a while. We'll go get more, and we have enough food, and obviously us being firearms people, we have a ton of firearm stuff. But dude, now that I'm having a kid, I'm like, oh man, I need like baby aspirin, like I need like baby food, like I mean, obviously, breastfeeding, but then what happens?
Formula.
Formula, like there's certain things that babies need, or if a baby gets sick, like there's just all different types of things. I'm like, oh yeah, I should probably be figuring out, making sure that we're putting all this to the side. So, and if shit does hit the fan and we got to get out, which I agree with John. I think that most of you guys are never getting out. It'd be stupid if you do. And if you do get out and you try to hack it on your own, like you're probably going to end up dying. But if you have to, even those things I'm thinking about, more than what I ever had before, because now I have an extra person to worry about. So, yeah, man, it's made me think a lot, and I can't wait to watch even more of your videos on that, dude. It's super interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited for it, and it's prophecy as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, that's yes, it's definitely prophecy. I mean, if we're even getting like on a biblical standpoint, at the end of days, like, you'll see all these massive storms. And this is just, whether you believe in Christianity or not, that's what we're seeing. We're seeing massive storms. We're seeing economic failures collapse all over the whole entire world right now. We're seeing wars pop up left and right. And if you're just looking at that, like, I mean, if you're a Bible, person at all, I mean, that's what it's talking about at the end of days. Even with the EMP, and it basically saying, like God coming in like a thief of the night, and then it will set the new world ablaze, and yada yada yada. There's so much stuff. Well, if we get into Revelations, that we could really go on a tangent about, but yeah, man, it does feel like all of this stuff happening is very, very biblical. So I say, if we're talking about prepping, whatever God you believe in, make sure that you're right with that God.
Yeah, man. And I highly encourage you. Don and I don't get too deep into religion here on the podcast. Obviously, we've mentioned it in relation because it does sculpt our opinions and thoughts and stances on some certain stuff. But when you really get into the Book of Revelation, and I encourage you guys to do two things. And Don, I don't know if you've done this, so I encourage you to do it as well. Read the Book of Revelation one time through, without any kind of historical reference or interpretation. Just read it the whole way through. And then go back and read it again. And anything where you think they're using symbolism, research what that symbolism means.
Yeah.
In the Book of Revelation, I believe it's chapter 13, like right off the bat, chapter 13, maybe verse 1 and 2, something like that. It talks about a dragon that stood on the shore of the sea, and it had a head like a lion and a mouth like a bear, and
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
If you read that the first time through, you think these people are like seeing some kind of crazy beast coming out of the ocean. But when you dig into the symbolism of it, God has given his impression. It's that it's those kingdoms that are looking to be vicious beasts.
Those countries. Yep. That's what I was saying underneath my
Yeah.
breath here. Yeah.
Yep. It's out of those countries. And, even out of the sea doesn't really translate to necessarily out of the sea. The sea is like the people's tongues.
Yeah.
So it's countries and tongues. And the symbolism goes like way deeper into why a leopard, why a bear, why a lion, and all of that. And it really takes from other pieces of the Bible and historical traditions and things like that. But I really encourage you to do it, because there's a lot of false prophets out there that talk about the end times and Revelations. And if any of you guys have watched like the Left Behind series, I think they do a pretty good job of depicting old Kirk Cameron, of depicting the translation of the text of the Bible into what it really means, into the symbolism of it. And I think you can really gain a lot of insight to what might be happening right now.
Yeah. I mean, and just even speaking about that, like, if you guys want to go for a crazy, like, have your mind blown, go read about the whore on the mountain and Revelations. I think you'll pick up on it super quick. I'm not going to get into details on that on here. And then if you really want to have your mind blown, read Genesis, read Revelations, and then go find the book of Enoch. It will really, really blow your mind. And you got to understand, when the Bible was written, they were supposed to be taken under the power of God, right? So like everything was, they're having these visions, these interpretation, all from basically their God is speaking through them, essentially. Okay.
Right.
So, but what they're seeing is with their own eyes. So they're explaining it to you in, BC ways. They don't have any
Right.
other way to explain it. They're not up to
Right.
date with technology like we do, like what we have, so it's very, very different, clearly.
But in some ways, even more descriptive.
Yes, because they have no other choice, because
Right.
they don't have the things around them to say, oh, this iPhone does such and such. No, they're like, oh, this bright box that tells you everything. It's almost like
The all-knowing.
the all-knowing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's essentially what it is. So, yeah, man, Revelations is absolutely crazy, and it does feel like we are inching towards Revelations, especially if things don't change. And I know everybody say, oh, well, nobody knows the time or the day. Yeah, but
we can see signs.
But yeah, and then God says, that when this happens, know that the days are numbered. When this happens, know that the days are numbered. But also, he never says you won't know what year it is, or you won't know what season it is. I do have a good feeling that you will probably know, and I feel like that's why so many Christians now, probably more than ever, are starting to have like this uneasy feeling of things that are happening on the planet. And I'm not saying that to scare people, but yeah, man, we're just in weird, crazy, wild times, bro.
And it's I think it's a great segue for you here, because we can kind of continue it into to what's next.
Yeah, and guys, this is my favorite portion of the podcast here. This is the Watchlist. And on our watch list today, this is we're not even gonna have a person for you. We actually just have
first time.
Yeah, first time ever. We're just having a geographical area, the Middle East. The reason why they're on there for is because the Middle East is absolutely insane right now. We are probably going to end up in a third world war. We have so many things that are happening between Russia, Ukraine, and now with the whole entire Middle East. We just went through GWAT. John served in GWAT, but stuff's getting out of control there. As you guys all know, with Israel, what was it? October 7th.
Yeah.
October 7th. There was a massive terrorist attack. I think it was a couple thousand people or something like that had died during that attack. Women, children.
It was 1,200.
Yeah. So 1,200 people. People were kidnapped. Those people, a lot of those people still have yet to be returned to home. So there's lots of stuff that's going crazy now. The news media has basically picked sides on all of this stuff since it's happened, which has made things even more to like a heightened place on the planet, because it's not just in the Middle East. These things are like causing chaos all across the world. We just talked about this in Britain. We see it here in America, where they're over here, doing graffiti with Hamas all over the Liberty Bell, and statues, and burning American flags, and you have crazy riots in the street. And then on top of that, I think it was 2 weeks ago, Iran basically sent a missile, killed 12 children at a playground. And then Israel returned and then killed, what was the guy? What was he
The
part
leader
of?
of Hamas.
Yeah, the leader of Hamas. And then they killed somebody else.
The leader of Hezbollah.
Of Hezbollah.
In Lebanon.
And Lebanon. So it is very heightened and I don't think people understand how serious all this is. And it gets crazier. Because you know what happened today? The ICC has came out and said that they wanted to make Israel war criminals, so Netanyahu and the IDF, which is wild. They just had people from a terrorist attack get their people slaughtered, kidnapped. Americans are still kidnapped that were in Israel at that point in time, and now you have these radical people, part of the governments, the ICC, England, UK. They're over there screaming that they need to arrest these people. Other countries are saying the exact same thing, and it's just like asking for war. And whether you believe it or not, you mess with Israel, you're messing with the Holy Bible, man.
I was about to say you're messing with God there, and if you believe some of the interpretations of philosophy in the Bible, like we were just talking about, it basically says that Israel is protected by God, and if you see Israel fall, that means it's over.
It's over with.
Like, I'm not talking about the war or the country or the region. I'm talking about it's all over with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything, everyone is over with. And, Iraq is still unstable. There's still instability in Iraq. We did a good job of fucking that up. Obviously, I have said multiple times on this podcast before, we are great invaders. We are great warriors. And we are horrible nation builders. We are horrible nation builders, and we've proved it in Afghanistan and Iraq. Iraq is unstable. Syria, let's not forget about Syria here. Everybody wanted to put Assad's head on a stake at the end of Obama's term. Remember the red line? Remember when Obama said there was a red line? And Assad jumped well over that red line, and we didn't do shit. Trump did. Trump went in and took out ISIS in Syria.
Yeah.
But Syria is still a problem. I have someday, Don, when we're in private, I'll tell you stories about Syria that I don't think should be public information. But yeah, I'm not the federal government, so I don't have to tell you all. And then we've got the Russian involvement in Syria with the Wagner Group, not to mention Africa as well.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. Africa too.
The Middle East, the reason they're on the watch list is because we better be fucking taking notice. And I'm not talking about just a Israeli-Palestinian, like, let's take notice. I'm talking about the whole fucking kit and caboodle.
Yeah. And let me tell you guys this. So people, a lot of people will say, when they're talking about the New World Order, or they're talking about, like, you'll hear like Christians go on a rant and be like, oh, the satanic people, and like, the reason why they're saying, there's been a bunch of crazy things that's happened in Israel. And I was going to say this earlier, actually. So in case you guys don't know, Texas sold Israel 2 perfect red heifers. If you guys know anything about the Bible, I know people laughed about this. I said, we're talking about this at work, and people were laughing, and then people looked it up and they're like, oh, wow, that's crazy. The reason why is because there has to be another sacrifice. Okay. And then they have to go through their ritual where they burn it, and then the rabbi goes in, and then he bathes in the ash and all this other stuff. You guys can read it. I'm not going to get into details on it. But then the new what America would call a church, it's not real. It's a what do the Israelis call, or the Jewish people call it? Their
temple.
The temple. The new temple, it gets built. The new temple, if you guys know, is where the Antichrist, comes out of. So
I mean, that's what chapter 13 of Revelation is really all about, is the Antichrist.
Yeah.
To relate to what we were just talking about.
So, and I might be getting some of that wrong, so don't quote me biblically.
Neither of us are biblical scholars.
I'm just giving you a rough oversight on it. If I said one or two things wrong, but you get the gist of it.
Yeah, man.
That's what it is. So in the Bible, it says, at the end of days that Jerusalem will be, and, Israel will be completely surrounded by all these countries that are bringing war towards Israel. Okay. If America decides that they're ever going to turn and just let Israel fall, or
we are the beast.
We are the beast. And I've been screaming this for years, dude. I think America is so infiltrated. We've let ourselves deteriorate from the inside. We've let invaders come into the United States that don't have Christian morals. Whether you believe in God or not doesn't make a difference. Don't have good morals and only want bad things for America and want to see the end of the world because they are satanic. And they still believe that Satan somehow is going to win. And I know that sounds crazy, but I don't want to get off on a whole religious tangent, but you guys look into it yourselves, take a look at it. But that's why the Middle East is on here, because there is so much stuff going on from a religious standpoint, from war standpoints, from America being involved to the whole world being involved into the Middle East, whether you'd like to believe it or not.
And we need Trump back in office.
Badly.
Because Kamala Harris and Tim Walz balls, they are not going to stop this.
Yeah.
They are not going to stop this. It's not going to happen.
And for everybody that keeps saying, like, being Muslim is like a peaceful religion, go read the Quran and read who Muhammad was. He was a pedo rapist. Okay? So go look into that and tell me that that's who you should be idolizing and that's who we should be protecting. While they'll kill you, they have no problems killing these 3 little girls in England. No problem doing that. But yet we're supposed to just bow down and let these people do whatever they want, because if we say anything, all of a sudden we're, Islamophobic or whatever the hell that these weirdos people say. That's not the case. We just, in America, especially people in the South, a lot of people in the Midwest, we still have like very good like morals and standards. And
we at least just don't want to kill innocent people.
Yeah, exactly.
At a very basic brass tacks, we just don't want to kill innocent people.
And we're also probably the last people that you want to fuck with, because we want to be left alone. And as soon as you touch a hair on one of our own, dude, we're coming for you, and it's all hell after that for you. So
yeah, and I just can't emphasize enough how important it is to get Trump back in office. I mean, Trump took our embassy and put it in Jerusalem. Helped. We had the Abraham Accords.
We had peace in the Middle East.
We got out of a horrible Iran nuclear deal. We did, for a moment, have peace in the Middle East, Don. Yes, you are 100% right.
Yeah.
And all we've had on the opposite sides of Trump is disaster in the Middle East, starting with Bush Sr., Daddy Sr., going into Clinton, who decimated our military, decimated our ability to protect and defend Israel and ourselves. And then we lead into George W. Bush, that made up reasons to go in and fucking just destroy Iraq and bring it to its fucking knees, and then thought we could rebuild it in this perfect, picturesque democracy.
Well, I think he wanted to do that because he saw how his daddy failed.
Yeah, it's definitely part of it, and oil, and a myriad of other things, and people like John Bolton and people like what's his fuckface that's on Fox News now from the Bush administration. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
They're all warmongers.
Yeah.
They're all warmongers. Karl Rove.
Yeah.
And yeah, man. I know this is a little out of place for us to not put a person. We're usually talking about people on this. But the Middle East, countries of the Middle East, you have officially been put on
the watch list.
Craziness, man.
Yeah.
That's like, man, we had 2 back-to-back deep topics right there.
Yeah.
I think that's the deepest we've actually gone.
Yeah. I mean, we could have went further and deeper, but I just don't want to whip out a Bible and start preaching to everybody on here.
If you guys want more stuff like that, leave it
know
in the comments below, because we absolutely will go there.
I mean, I can get into some, like, if you want to get into religion, dude, I can. I mean, I still have Bibles with, things that are marked off and list of things that I would be awesome to talk to you guys about, but that's up to you guys. If you guys want that, If
you want to hear us talk about an individual country more because of their atrocities, like, throw it down in the comments below. We'd be happy to discuss any of those countries that we mentioned today. Absolutely. I am no historian. I am no expert on the Middle East by any means, but I think I have a pretty good understanding. I took a concerted effort to learn more after I went to that area and learn more about the history and everything. So I'd love to talk about it.
John got his college degree there.
I did get my college degree there. My college degree on killing people and breaking their shit. All right, man. Well, this is our last episode prior to going to Goals.
Yeah.
Don and I will be headed off that way here in a couple days to Knoxville, Tennessee. I always get that song, Johnson City, Tennessee. I
guess we will be listening to some country music while we're there at Goals.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I got a coworker that's gonna meet us out there too.
Oh, nice. Heck yeah.
Yeah, he covers University of Tennessee out there for us. So.
Oh, that's fire. Hell yeah.
He's a fun one. He's a fun one. Yeah, but country music, man. There's a free concert on Friday night for Goals people. Easton Corbin.
That's what I was talking about. Yeah, Easton Corbin.
Don Welch opening up for him.
Yeah. Come watch.
Should we try to get you in there?
We'll just
who can I email?
I know. Let me just.
Who can I email?
Slide in here. Off side stage right there.
Right. So that's exciting. We've got merch in now. Neither Don nor I are wearing our merch right now. But I'm wearing my support your washed up veteran tee.
Yeah, don't look what I'm wearing.
5'11". Is that what that is? 5'11". Yeah.
I got this way before I knew everything that was going on in the world with 5'11".
But we do have merch. It is kick-ass. We showed it on the last podcast. You can get your own at 2apatriotranch.com or click the link below. And we've got some kick-ass patches.
Let's go.
We've got, because obviously we're on the Liberty Goons channel right now. Liberty Goons. How sick is that? They've got hook and loop backing on them, so you can put them on your bags, your carriers, your rigs, the whole 9 yards. They got the nice backing on them and everything. They're PVC patches, so it's not crap. And look at like the detail and everything on there. Like,
fire.
Isn't that sick? Like,
bro,
so sick, dude.
We got the hardest logo in the game, brother.
In the game. So we've got these. They'll be going up on the website after we get back from Goals. And we also have some 2A Patriot Ranch ones too. How about that? Yeah, man.
If you guys are at Goals, come talk to us. We're going to be selling those for $5. Actually, the first 3 people that come up and mention some things that we've asked you to mention on here, we will then give those to you. But everybody else, if you want some, $5.
$5. So yeah, you come up, tell us what your favorite watch list person or now region was, and give us
somebody's
the
gonna be
nickname.
Like, Iran.
Hey, you know what? You come up and tell me Iran, I will. You win.
There you
win.
go.
We got some T-shirts. I actually got them in today, so we have the T-shirts ready to go for you guys that come up to us, and we got a ton of these patches. Yep, $5 a piece. Killer deal for
That's
PVC patches.
Smoking deal, bro.
Smoking deal. So yeah, we are merched out. You'll be able to find Don and I. Just look for 2 guys either wearing Liberty Goons or 2A Patriot. And if it's 2A Patriot, it probably says something fucked up on the back, like 0 fucks given or cowboy shit or don't tread on me or some crazy saying on it. Don and I, just before we came on the air tonight, decided that we are going to do a live stream, a live podcast from Goals. We're going to be filming a bunch of episodes while we're there, but we decided to go live either Friday night or Saturday morning. So stay tuned to Don's Instagram, Liberty Goons Instagram, and 2A Patriot Instagram, and we'll give you guys a better idea as we move forward in the week when that live is actually going to happen. We'd love to blow it up for you guys. That would be so sick.
Just start paying attention to our Instagrams anyways, but make sure you pay attention to our Instagrams, let's say Thursday. I think
Thursday.
If me and John can get out, hopefully in time to be able to shoot at range day, that's what we're going to try to do. So we'll definitely do some filming. I'll film, John shooting, and hopefully if my hand feels a little bit better, my stuff's all still extreme. You guys can't see it, but it's still
looking rough.
It's still pretty jacked up, but yeah.
Don's going to be my de facto cameraman for 2A Patriot Ranch too. So now you'll know who's behind the camera.
Yeah, it's not a good-looking girl. I'll just tell you that. It's a bearded lady.
It's a bearded lady. Yeah, so excited. I know we've talked about it till we're blue in the face with Goals, but we are so amped up. This is our first. This is me and Don. It's our first convention together as Liberty Goons. It's my first in totality as 2A Patriot Ranch. So we are super excited for this and the speakers. And it's not just all about, the convention floor or anything like that. We've got sick ass speakers across the board everywhere. Just tons of great characters that are going to be there. So I'm super stoked for that.
I don't think I've been this excited to go. I don't even think I was this excited to go to SHOT Show, honestly. I mean, I think that this just is so far up our alley right now because me and John are so in the political space. Like, I am amped up to go. Like, come talk to us, man. We will talk to you. If you guys want to know information, we will give you all the deets on everything we got going on.
Gladly. I've only got... I don't know if we should do this. I'm going to fuck it. I'm going to do it anyway. I've got one shout out this week, and this is the first time we've done this on the show. This right here. This is a Glock 19 that I had.
It's an airsoft. Glock 19 airsoft.
Glock 19 that I had. The slide cut on by C&H Precision, and that's the C&H Precision duty optic on top of there. Pretty kick-ass, looks kind of has like an acro footprint to it and everything. But I just want to give a huge shout out to those guys. They hooked it up big time on this, and just like
that thing sits down there so perfect, dude. Like I'm kind of shocked on how good that looks.
Yeah, I mean
that.
It's nice and just like perfect inset into that slide.
Yeah, dude. Like, wow.
Especially for an acro footprint because it has that weird like clasp on the end of it.
Yeah.
Also, I guess since we're doing it, huge shout out to Hidden Hybrid holsters. That's the holster I have on this thing right here.
Is that that's a leather patch in the back or leather?
Yeah.
Leather. Yeah.
Leather with suede. I believe it's all handcrafted Italian leather with a Kydex front. This is their one hook version. I have their two hook version that I showed before. And they're the ones that I don't think I. Oh, yeah, I have it sitting right here. They're
There
the
we
ones
go.
that give out the Constitution of the United States.
Oh, yeah.
Huge shout out to Hidden Hybrid Holsters. These guys, not only do they have a kick-ass product, but they do this too, which is badass.
I think they should be handing those out at school. Yeah.
I agree. What shout outs you got this week, Don?
Man, my shout outs are look, my shout outs is to anybody that watches our channel and that's going through some struggles. And if we can make your day a little bit better watching, me and John, dude, I'm super thankful for that. And I hope that we give a little bit of happiness to your day. I'm sure that some of the stuff that we say on here, you're probably shaking your head at and like, yeah, I agree. And some of the stuff that we talk about maybe makes you angry, but at least it gets you away from maybe some of the other anxieties that you have in life and the other stress that you have in life. And hopefully we're doing something for you, or even if you're just doing something for yourself to like try to, work out those inner demons, especially as men, we all have them. Dude, shout out to you. Just know that you're not alone. There's tons of people out there that are going through the same stuff that you're going through. And, dude, keep your chin up and stay a warrior, man, because we need you. The world's crazy and we need strong warriors. So shout out to you guys.
Damn, Don. That one hit me a little bit right there. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to the Warriors for sure, man.
Yeah.
Go out there, be a warrior, do cowboy shit.
Yep, facts. Yeah, my favorite part of, I can't remember the name of the movie now, but oh god, I can't think of it now. It's he's talking about, he's like, oh yeah, I just want to be out here and be cowboys. And he's like, put your safety on when you're walking around. He's like, that's my safety. I can't remember what movie it is. You can cut that part out. It doesn't make a difference, but it just made me think of that when you said that, John.
No, I love it. My favorite T-shirt that we have over at 2A Patriot Ranch is it's one with the cowboy hat on the back, and it says, "Everybody wants to be a cowboy until it's time to do cowboy shit."
Yep.
But that's all we have for this week. Like I said, we will be out of commission for a couple days. As we head off there, we're going to film a bunch of content, so that's going to be kick-ass for us and for you guys. As Don said, we both really, really, really appreciate the hundreds and sometimes thousands of people that listen to this podcast. Spread the message far and wide. That's the most simple thing you can do to not only help us out, but help you guys out too. The more that people watch us, the more we're able to bring content like this for you guys. It's not free. It's not cheap. And that's the best way you can help us.
Yeah,
we'll help you with our words. If you could just help us with that share button, that subscribe button, man, we would love it.
Absolutely.
We would love it.
Absolutely.
That is it for episode 10. As always, we are the Liberty Goons, and we are
out.